Photographs of Donald Trump's rally that he held in New Hampshire this past weekend have been making the rounds on the internet because these photographs show a ton of empty seats. Now, what's funny about these photographs is that these photographs are actually taken out of context. That one photograph that's been making the rounds, I've seen other people, posting it, including a lot of people I respect, but it was pointed out by Dave Weigel that was actually a photograph of the press section. That wasn't the crowd. That was the press section, and a lot of people weren't there yet when that photo was taken. So that photograph is actually not representative of how packed the arena was. But what is representative of how packed the arena was that it had a capacity of only 700 people. According to new reports, Donald Trump's campaign has decided that since the former president can no longer pack a stadium like he used to, they have started booking smaller venues so that the crowds will look packed. So when you see the photographs of all these people in the seats, please understand that's not a snapshot of a small portion of it. That's the whole thing. The man that used to be able to pull in 10,000 people, 20,000 people sometimes, can now only pull in a couple hundred. So you don't need to take those photographs out of context to act like, hey, he can't pack a crowd. Look at the venues he's booking. When you see that Trump is speaking somewhere, you can actually, when you know the name of the place, look up online what the seating capacity is. The venues are getting smaller because the enthusiasm for Trump is not there. Back in 2020, even during the COVID pandemic, we didn't have treatments, we didn't have vaccines. COVID was a almost death sentence. Still can be, by the way. But Trump supporters still piled in there before the 2020 election. You had incidents of Donald Trump doing events where people had to leave in ambulances, sometimes down here in the South because of heat stroke. People were willing to risk their own health to see him speak. Then in the winter months, you had people that were freezing, quite literally, showing signs of hypothermia just to be able to see Trump speak. Today, 4 years later, not the case. He can't pack a room anymore, so they have to make the room smaller so that the few people that show up, it actually looks like he can draw a crowd. And this is actually very predictable because over the last 2 years, what we've seen is and I've talked about it right here, by the way, we see that these venues that Donald Trump is booking, those photographs show us that there's a ton of empty seats. The video footage shows there's a ton of empty seats. But more importantly, and we did see this in New Hampshire, Midas Touch posted a video about this, people are leaving while he's talking. Donald Trump's in the middle of his rants where he's playing all his greatest hits about election interference and a stolen election and Nancy Pelosi bad, Biden bad, immigration bad. And people get up and say, all right, I'm not even going to do that. And that's what's happening. So not only are you getting fewer and fewer people to show up, but the people who do show up after, 10, 20 minutes, they're like, wow, this is, I can't do this. I can't sit and listen to this anymore. But again, there's a reason I'm talking about this. It's because right now, right, what do the polls tell us? The polls are like, oh God, Trump's going to beat Biden. There's no enthusiasm for Trump. There's no enthusiasm even in the MAGA crowd for Trump. They're getting kind of tired of it. People aren't showing up to his events anymore. You can't tell me that that is a good omen for his prospects in this year's election. It is simply not. There's no enthusiasm. So you may have these polls where these likely voters, and likely is the key word, tell people, yeah, I'm probably going to vote for Trump over Biden. But then they look at it like, you know what? I don't even care. I'm not even going to show up. And I think that's why when this election comes around, we're going to see a lot of voting results that do not reflect these polls because the enthusiasm is going to keep a lot of these likely Trump voters home. They are not excited. They're not showing up at his rallies, even though they're free. They simply do not care enough anymore. Hi, everyone. This here is little Athena. And Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet. So please, don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.